Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Mark Isaac Potter Presents. Today we're visiting with Tammie, who has a long last name, and she's going to learn me how to pronunciate it. I'm thinking it's maybe Italian, but maybe not, or Sicilian, but maybe not. So, dear Tammie, please give me. I'm going to do the phonetic of your name. This is what I usually do. I just did one a couple hours ago with a young man from far away. How do you pronounce your last name?
Vecchiarelli.
Uh, okay. V-A-V-E, Vec or Vac?
Vecchiarelli.
Vecchiarelli.
Mm-hmm.
Vec. Uh, Sometimes I even put it in your Google Contacts thing just to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks. So the news here is that we're visiting with Tammie Vecchiarelli, who is extremely famous. She and the Pope used to go out for coffee together, but he passed away. We know that, right? So she's not laughing. Sometimes people laugh when I try to make jokes, and some people just go, "He's so stupid." I understand. So tell us a little about yourself. I want to. I probably already said this to you, but I do have something that mimics dementia,
Okay.
so I
Mm-hmm.
can on and I try to kind of own it now that I grew up with Abraham Lincoln's father, so I'm getting up in the years. Uh, so I have no recollection except for your beautiful face. I have no recollection of what you do. Although I remember now hearing seeing the word Aurora somewhere. So
Yes.
what do you do? Pray tell.
Yeah. So I'm a spiritual mentor and I help
Okay.
women to heal past relationship trauma and connect back in with themselves.
Oh my goodness. Now, is this past relationship trauma in this life or a past life or either one or?
Oh, both, all, everything.
Boy, we're going to have to be doing a lot of shows. I have got past life stuff, and I don't think I've ever. I've done about 700 shows. I
Mhm.
don't think we've ever done a show about past lives.
Oh, well, I'm honored that I'm the one to do it with you.
Thank you. And I think most of my friends don't even know that I believe in past lives. I don't think because I usually don't. I'm usually don't say much about it. But I have all this anyway. So where do we start with a past lives journey that we're going to take here?
Yeah. So do you want to start where I started with my journey, or do you want to start with your journey, I guess?
So that would be at McDonald's with fries and a Coke, or I'm just like this. It's I think I was dropped on my head as a baby or something.
Oh my goodness.
um let's see. I'll let you're the expert, so I'll let you be the judge of where we can start. Do you want to tell us a little about yourself as a person?
Sure, I can do that.
Like to do that? Okay.
So I'm Tammie.
Where'd you grow up and all that? Okay.
I grew up in Parsippany, New Jersey, lived there until I was 18, and then moved to Nashville, Tennessee for 11
Okay.
years.
Okay.
I'm currently living in Poland, and I've lived here for 4 years.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Very beautiful.
mhm.
So I am very honored to have you on the show. I just had someone on a couple hours ago from Nigeria,
Mm,
so we're getting more around the world. I met you on Alignable, right?
that is right.
How did you? Because
How did
Alignable, are you using a VPN or how did you get?
I do use a VPN, but my business is stateside, and that's where I signed up for Alignable because I'm from the States.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're now sitting in Poland,
Mhm.
the computer, I mean, yes, I use computers all day, and do I know how they work? No. You can get your computer to sit in Poland and pretend that it's in the United States.
Yeah. Hmm.
You're smarter than I'll ever be. So
Yeah.
I think I'm going to call her the OG here pretty soon. We have a phrase. I don't know how much slang you know from the States, but
Mhm.
these new generations are creating slang faster than I can breathe in and out, I'll tell you. All right, so you're in Poland. What part? Maybe can we explore Poland for a minute? Because I love one of my best friends. His wife is from Bulgaria. So what part of Poland are you in?
Yeah, so I'm in Wrocław, Poland. I think it's the fourth largest city.
Okay,
And
all
I've been here
right.
for 4 years. I've loved it. I've been teaching here for those 4 years, which has been an amazing experience. So yeah.
You teach at the university, or you just teach your class privately, or
I teach third grade at an international school.
oh, okay, I'm in love. No, I shouldn't say that. Your husband will beat me up. Oh,
Oh, I don't have
besides,
one yet. Come already.
besides, besides, I'm old enough to be your great grandfather, probably. So, you teach third grade?
I do. Hmm.
Oh my God, that is so gorgeous. Wow. We got to do some shows about that. That sounds so much fun.
Yeah,
So
it is.
you're doing Aurora, which is a spiritual healing journey.
Yes.
Tell us about Aurora. How did you come to a place in your life where
Mhm.
you wanted to start this thing? Where did
It's
you
based
get to? Yeah.
It's based on my own healing journey of 10 years of going through anxiety and depression and trying to figure out who I am as a person and all of those different things, trying different healing modalities to where now I feel like I've come so far as a person that I need to be of service to others. I need to help others heal also, to find themselves.
Okay. And how long ago did you start Aurora?
It's been about 6 months now, which has been amazing.
Okay. And then in Poland, do you have to like file a business license thingy or not? Or
My business license is in the States. Yeah.
so you can do that. You can live. I've never lived abroad myself.
So I'm essentially working remotely.
Okay. Okay. That makes okay.
Yeah.
So you tell us about like your tell us I'm using some of my standard questions in my head because I'm tell us about and you can pick which one you do first, like your best client experience and your if you have one your worst client experience.
Sure. So when it comes to my best client experience, it's the clients I'm working currently with. I've seen massive growth in them and them truly understanding who they are, like we are talking about their past lives and all these different things and truly understanding who they are. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
When it comes to the quote unquote worst, which I wouldn't even call it that,
Yeah.
um, she just wasn't, I think, ready for her healing journey. So she was
Okay.
invested in it, which you can't force someone to be invested
Yeah.
in their.
Okay. Now you do work with both men and women?
I work primarily with women, but anyone that is open to a healing journey, I would love to work with them.
Okay, and they need to be of what, 18 or
Yeah, 18 and above, I guess, if I had to
you
put an age on it.
you never thought about that part. Some groups do and do not work with kids, so
I
all
mean,
right,
I
well, gee whiz. Go ahead.
I would love to work with kids actually because I'm a teacher. So I would love
Yeah, yeah,
to. It's just that's an area I feel like where not only the parents have to be open, but then the children have to be open to it too.
yeah,
A little bit more complex.
yeah. Well, and in my business, like in my show, if I
Mhm.
want to have a teenager or something on the show, I need to get written permission from the parents that
Exactly.
they agree and stuff. So, all right. So, wow, this is pretty cool. Should I should I say things about myself, or let's find out more about you first, or
No, I would
what?
love to hear more about you.
Okay, is that the right thing to do though? I mean, what? It's okay with you, huh?
Yeah, it's okay with me.
All right. Well, usually these interviews are about finding out about the guest, but so the thing about me, I'm going to give you the short version first. In this lifetime,
Mhm.
I have experienced a surprisingly high amount of both physical violence and abuse of, verbal, psychological, all kinds.
Mhm.
Uh, and the example I gave a couple days ago in an interview was that more than one of my doctors have looked at me and said, "We cannot figure out how it is that you're still alive."
Wow.
And I have a lot of disabilities of every
Mhm.
conceivable type. I have
Mhm.
about six pieces to my mental illness diagnosis, and I've been in psychiatric hospitals 12, 15 times over the last 40 years. I have a lot of physical disabilities. I have a learning disability. I have some kind of dementia, but I still, I mean, it sounds like a lot, but since I live with it every day, it's just, as long as I have a bologna sandwich and a cup of coffee, I'm pretty good to go. I just do my show and, living the dream, so to speak. Do my little
I mean,
silly jokes. So, so that's this lifetime. The other
mhm.
lifetimes, there's two sets that I'm aware of. One of them
Mhm.
is in Europe,
Ooh,
where I
okay.
where I was some kind of a soldier in
Mm,
more than one lifetime,
mm,
like different countries. My biological father is his people generations back are from England, and
mhm,
my biological mother, who passed when I was two, was a citizen of England straight up. My dad met her over there in World War II.
mhm.
So there's all that, and then there's some stuff about Napoleon and all this. I once wrote a, well, I'll tell you that later. And then the other piece is like uh, China and Japan.
Ooh, okay.
And I have studied in this lifetime. I've studied Zen,
Mm,
especially a kind called Soto Zen,
mhm,
quite a bit, on and off for about 30 or 40 years.
mhm,
And especially, I mean, lots of Zen masters, obviously. Probably one of the ones more frequent for me is a man whose name is Dogen,
mm,
Dogen,
mhm,
and he lived in China
mhm,
and studied Zen in China when Zen was fairly young,
mhm,
but he was from Japan. But at the time that he lived, which was he lived from 1200, that's BC,
mhm,
1200 to 1250 or 1251. I can't remember which.
mhm,
So that time of history, one would get their education by going to China. especially
Mm.
if they lived in Japan, because Japan was not all that much at the time. So then he did that, and then he wanted to take the Zen that he learned in China back to his native Japan.
Mm.
And there's a whole bunch of very beautiful stuff about how he did that.
Mhm.
And then he went back to Japan with this material and he founded a branch of Zen called Soto Zen. And very cool stuff. And then of course, that was 1200. And then Buddha, the original Buddha, lived a long time before that. I think maybe even, I can't remember now. It's been a few years since I read all those books, but uh, he might have lived in 500 BC or 500 AD. But he lived in India, or what we now, I think, what is now possibly Nepal,
Okay.
perhaps.
Mhm.
A lot of good books I can recommend, but so I have both of those. I have this period where Dogen is, going to China, becoming a man, deciding to have this relatively new thought about taking this material back to his native Japan. And then the previous thing is being in the court, so to speak, of Gautama Buddha himself, being
Mhm.
one of the people he taught, and he went through tons of stuff before he became Buddha, as you might imagine.
Mhm.
So yeah, so there's all that. I don't know if any of that helps you do anything really, but
Amazing. I'm curious, how did
only
you remember those past lives?
uh I think, well, a lot of things in my life had like the final bit of a breakthrough because of Zen. So
Okay.
I would do some kind of a journey for years in this life. Like I studied Est for 10,000 hours.
Hmm.
I studied Christianity for 15 years. I
Wow.
studied Sikhism. I
Hmm.
studied a bunch of other stuff, literature. I've been a writer for more than 50 years. But
Hmm.
then whenever I would get near the end of the journey or toward where there might be some kind of an epiphany, it didn't happen. And
Hmm.
then my wife passed away,
Mm.
which just really just, it's been like 30, 40 years and I just still can't deal with it. And
Mm.
then after she passed away, I started studying Zen. And Zen kind of became the thing that completed the other journeys.
Mhm.
I found out something special about my Christian faith based
Mhm.
on practicing Zen. I found out something about my writing based on practicing Zen, etc. Does that answer your question? I think I got lost.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. I feel like everyone has their own experiences when it comes to past lives. For me, the
Yeah.
very thing I had was I was meditating, and it was actually kind of traumatic. The memory,
Okay.
it was I was laying down in bed and I suddenly saw, as you like would imagine, the white light, which can be
Mhm.
scary. And I ended up being in a field with a woman and a child, and I felt this strong pull to this
Mm.
child as if she was my child in that lifetime. I didn't
Mm.
know at the time what I was experiencing.
Okay.
Felt this very strong pull to her, this strong emotion. And suddenly it was like my eyes went black and I couldn't see
Mm.
the child
Mm.
anymore. And all of a sudden, I could almost feel myself being a spirit and being
Oh,
an
wow.
angel for this child and
Yeah.
feeling so sad and depressed that I couldn't physically be around this child. But knowing that the woman that I said earlier, who I think was a sister, was taking care of this child. And that stuck with me for years until I talked to a medium who confirmed with me this is a past life that you remembered by accident while you were meditating, but there's no coincidences.
Yeah.
And it was just the strong emotion that
Yeah.
really tied me to that memory and the start of me remembering my past lives.
Mm, wow. So I think I'm just going to keep doing this show rather than break them up into parts for now, but because you're so fascinating, I
Oh,
can't even believe I'm in the same digital room with you.
oh,
Uh,
thank you.
can can past lives also have like fictional, surreal, absurdist stuff in them?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Um, I
Because I,
feel like, what? I'm sorry.
oh no, you're the, go ahead.
I feel like we have past lives not only here on this
Yeah.
plane, but other planets, other dimensions. So I don't see
Okay.
why that wouldn't be the case.
All right. Well, then I'll tell you a story that hopefully has a funny part in it at least.
Hmm.
Uh, and I mentioned I'm a writer. I should
Hmm.
say that I do a lot of writing, not all, but a lot of it in the realm of absurdism.
Hmm.
Most Americans have no clue what absurdism is.
Hmm.
So the way I explain it over the years is there's reality, right?
Hmm.
And then there's something called surrealism, and most people have heard of that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Absurdism is when you take reality and you bend it. You know,
Okay.
you make a tree slightly different than a real tree, or you
Hmm.
make a whatever. Absurdism is in my opinion where you break from reality.
Mm, okay.
Like I and I've written this stuff for decades. So I might say, well, the blue rabbit, of course there's no such thing as a blue rabbit. The blue rabbit sold life insurance to the tree.
Mm-hmm.
So A, no blue rabbits exist. B, no rabbit is likely to be selling life insurance. C, no tree is likely to be buying life insurance.
Yeah.
So, having said that, one of my European past lives, I'm in the army of Napoleon.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we're all just like in awe of him, because he's
Mm-hmm.
great and smart and he's won all these battles and all this stuff. And just one day, it does, in the past life, this is not a big deal. It doesn't stand out a lot, except my experience of it in this life is that this is the one of the things I remember the most.
Mm-hmm.
I'm told by my boss, my superior, to go to Napoleon's tent and give him a message.
Mm-hmm.
It's an order that I'm given to do. So I go to his tent and I somehow, some reason, lift the flap of the tent. There should be there somebody there doing that, but and Napoleon is standing in his tent in pink women's underwear.
Interesting.
And I'm like, oh boy, what have I gotten myself into?
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's I've written poems about it and stuff. I don't anyway, so there's that. And so the European one has all this stuff like my
Mm-hmm.
dad in real life or in this life was an ambulance driver in London during World War II. And
Okay.
his job was very gruesome. His
Mm.
job was to pick up literally the dead bodies and the parts of bodies that were there because of the bombing of the from the Germans.
Mm-hmm.
But some part of me has that thing of being an ambulance driver during World War II really hardwired into me.
Mhm.
I have dreams about it.
Mm.
I'm in the truck by myself, and there aren't enough soldiers to help, and I find these bodies and these body parts, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on.
I have a question then. So, when
Yeah,
it comes to your dad and him being this ambulance driver, were you alive at the time? Were you born at the time when
not
that?
yet. Very rather close though.
I'm wondering
He,
if you lived a lifetime with your dad beforehand,
I
and that would job.
could be. The war ended in what, 45 maybe?
I
I
think
don't
so.
remember.
I'm not good with history.
Well, I don't, because Europe ended earlier than Japan too. So I don't know, 43, 45, something like that. And I was born in November of 1950.
Okay.
Now, my brother, who
Mhm.
passed already in this life, was born in 46.
Mm.
I don't know if that has any significance.
Mhm.
So, so Europe, the European theater, if you will,
Mhm.
has different things, most of which have something to do with the military or stuff. And in this life, I don't like military stuff. I
Mhm.
didn't. I didn't go to the Vietnam War. I don't like watching military movies. so, so that's a very odd juxtaposition. But the Chinese Japanese stuff is all about being a a spiritual leader, or being a the precursor to being a spiritual leader. And
Okay.
in this current life, I have studied Zen a lot. I
Mhm.
was actually a rogue Zen teacher.
Wow, okay.
I mean,
Mhm.
long story. All my stories are long, pretty much. So, yeah, so I don't know. Talk to me. I feel like I'm totally dominating this.
But it's
I'm
interesting.
not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to let you have some. Go
You
ahead.
know, it's interesting to me to hear about this, and I feel like it is a beautiful way for your viewers to see, how I had my experience with my past life, but then you have also had your experience with your past life. And it's
Hmm.
showing right there when you're talking about how in this lifetime you don't like war, you don't like those things, how potentially you could have had this past life right before where you were in the military. And like you said, is
Yeah.
this position of you don't enjoy those things. That's
Yeah.
the thing with past lives.
So,
Sometimes the energy from them bleed into this life. The
okay.
reason why you have some of these medical issues could be
Yeah.
because you solved
I,
things in
I
the
wouldn't
past.
doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. I have a preoccupation with Europe during like post World War One and then post World War Two. That whole era, because uh, and I'm a writer, of course, so the writers of those times and the other artists, painters, sculptors, were so shocked by the existence of World War One, which at the
Mhm.
time was called the war to end all wars.
Yeah.
They were so shocked that it could even happen, that there could be a war that horrific, that widespread, and the machinery that was used in World War One at
Mhm.
that time was considered just so over the top, you know,
Mhm.
that the artists, writers, painters became rather existential. Like they
Mm.
just, they threw away the philosophy of the day, and people like Descartes and Kierkegaard and all those people were trying to figure out, what is existence? Is
Yeah.
there a God?
Mhm.
Absurdism was born, surrealism was born, uh, all kinds of stuff. So And I've been preoccupied with that all my life, France, especially, like I
Mhm.
say, with Jean Paul Sartre and all those guys,
Mhm.
uh, Samuel Beckett. So, anyway, so having said all of that, you mentioned the notion of healing. Now, let me preface this by saying I have been in therapy since age 19,
Wow, okay.
like pretty much all the time, pretty
Mhm.
much every once a week.
Wow, okay.
And the best that ever has happened is so that's like 50 years of therapy or more. The
Yeah.
best that happened is one of my psychiatrists, because when you're in therapy, you have a psychiatrist and a therapist,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
they're nearly always different people.
Yeah. Mhm.
And one of my psychiatrists said to me, "Well, given all this, I think what you should do is not delve deeper, because some therapies say, delve deeper and you'll heal." He said, "Let's not do that. Instead, I just want you to do kind of a maintenance thing. Just try
Mm.
to be a person who
Mhm.
does a day and goes to sleep." And so
Yeah.
I liked him a lot, and he was one of my favorite psychiatrists.
Mhm.
So I just adopted that and I carried it with me, and I told future therapists that whole idea. I don't want to go into oh, this happened and you got to remember it and relive it and fix it and all that crap. So, given all of that, I don't see, I honestly, I hate to say it this way, but I don't see even the possibility of quote unquote healing from all. I mean, I'm not telling you the different traumatic events,
Of course.
but
Mhm.
they were many and very violent. So,
I
anyway,
completely
what
I
saith you, dear Tammie?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I have met people and I've known people that have had such deep trauma
Yeah,
that truly it feels like you can never escape from it.
yeah,
And the thing that I feel in my experience is like you're talking about the talk therapy, where you're
yeah,
discussing medication, all these different
yeah,
things,
yeah, yeah,
really not getting to the deep issues, the root
yeah. It
cause
doesn't. It doesn't. And this
doesn't.
modern day theory of talk it out or live back through it, for the crap that I went through, that just upsets the apple cart, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
anyway.
feel like it's so important, yes, to talk through it and, think about it and process the way you need to. But more than that, it's important to get to the root cause, which one of the things that I do is work in energy healing. So truly releasing that energy that you're storing within your body that's causing
Yeah,
those ailments because form follows energy. So if you are feeling an emotion of anger, regret, sadness, that can physically sit in your body and then eventually manifest as some kind of illness or
I don't know that.
disability or mental health.
Now I tried Reiki at
Mhm.
one point in the past.
Mhm.
And I can preface this by saying back in 73 or 75 or something, I
Mhm.
was in a big car accident.
Mm.
And it turned out to be, uh, a, let's say, a blessing in disguise, just because it's a phrase that people already know.
Mhm.
Because I worked at Stanford at the time, and I had in my medical plan, I had chiropractic.
Mm.
So after the accident, I was allowed and to go see a chiropractor, and
Mhm.
because the injuries were severe, I was going like 2 or 3 times a week.
Mhm.
And the work he did on me did more good than just healing me from the accident.
Yeah.
that body work was
Mhm.
really helpful. But and my life is full of contradictions, by the way. Here's
Mhm.
one of them. So all that body work was really helpful. Decades later, I tried Reiki.
Mhm.
I could not let the Reiki person touch me, period.
They shouldn't have to for Reiki.
Ah, well,
They
then
sh
it wasn't Reiki, it was something else.
I
Some kind
mean,
of
maybe back in the day, like since I've been trained a different, I don't know.
I don't know either. Maybe I just thought it was Reiki. Anyway,
Mhm.
some gal that I knew really well for years
Mhm.
was going to do some body work with me.
Mhm.
And I went to her house. She did it out of her home, went to her house, started the thing. She touched me just one time, just a light touch. And I went, no, homie, don't play that. I'm going home. And I
Yeah,
left.
it was
And
almost a
I,
trigger.
and I, I mean, I don't, most people, hardly anybody knows all this stuff together. Some people know some of it. So I don't have much hope for healing in any, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, you talk to me, young lady?
I totally understand that. I understand why you would feel a sense of, I don't even know what to call it, like of just not believing that true healing could happen after everything that you've been through, after
Well, I
all
mean,
the.
but I would think that after being able to do the chiropractic, I
Mhm.
would then be able to withstand some kind of massage, but apparently not. I don't know why.
I mean, it also could have been that something internally within you was one being triggered by being touched by this woman. I don't know why. Or it
Yeah.
could have been energy center saying, no, 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 this person is not aligned with me. They're not allowed to come in my auric field. It could have been simple as
Well,
that.
okay.
Mhm.
I don't know. Anyway, that's
Mhm.
so the way I cope in life is I write. I love writing, and I'm not
Beautiful.
writing a lot these days, but have written a lot. And I
Mhm.
also do TV shows like just almost obsessively. I did, well, among the shows that I did of myself and the
Mhm.
ones the guests total, yesterday I did 8 shows.
Wow, that's amazing.
Just yesterday. So
Wow, that's awesome.
it's like writing for me. It helps me when I can somehow communicate even to myself
Mhm.
something, or even just, like most guests are there and I'm there to serve them. So I'm
Mhm.
not talking about myself,
Yeah,
but I am talking. Even that helps me just get through the day, just
yeah.
walk through the next steps and stuff.
Yeah, I fully
Yeah.
understand that. Something came to mind, and you can, of course, say no, is
Well,
maybe the next time I'm on, I have a whole new modality that I'm doing with healing. If you're interested, I would love to try it and see if you find any relief. Because I
I,
hate hearing that someone is in pain.
yeah, I would love that. I just want you to know that I usually in interviews like this, I'm making tons of jokes.
Mhm.
They seem to just come naturally, and
Yeah.
it seems like when I'm doing interviews or smart connects at Alignable,
Mhm.
people say stuff and my brain very quickly prints out some, for lack of a better word, I want to say perversion or bastardization of what they said,
Mhm.
that I then say and people laugh.
Mhm.
So, but I'm trying not to do that on this one, partly because it's hard to talk about my own life, even though I've talked about it all the time in therapy. Just like I say, it's because it looks like we might go deeper than maintenance. I'm not sure. I'll
Yeah, and
probably I'll probably send this video to my therapist.
oh, see, and I love that though, I feel like No, I do truly, because I feel like this is showing how just being in my aura field and talking to me is opening you up in different ways that you haven't before. It's giving you a sense of healing that you haven't had before. Because, like you
It's
said,
funny
you've
because
never talked about past lives, you've never done this, you know? So just
yeah,
talk is opening.
crazy. Yeah, wow,
Mhm.
yeah. So
It's my super.
tell us more about how I don't know very much about the energies, and a lot of the words you're using are new to me.
Of
How
course.
does the energy flow around us and through us, and why does it? And are there different kinds? Can we understand anything about it? I mean, is there
Yeah.
like a big energy with five parts, or how does it, it's not like science, I know, but I mean, how does it work? What can you tell us to help us understand?
Of course, I would love to do that. If we're talking just within our body,
Say that
we
again.
if we're talking just in our body, there is a
Okay.
system in us called our chakra system.
I've
And
heard that. Yeah.
exactly, this is each center has a different type of energy that it holds. So, for example, your throat chakra, you keep clearing it, has to do with your ability to communicate, your ability to express yourself.
Ah, yeah.
I've been picking
Okay.
up on
Where's the whiskey? I'm kidding.
that. So, if we have a block in this chakra, it could be that you have a hard time communicating, you have a hard time expressing yourself. And it can even be, like you're saying, you did 8 shows yesterday, that it's
Yeah.
overly working, that you're using it too
Yeah.
much.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow.
Hmm.
Hmm. Okay. And there's how many chakras? Seven, eight, nine, 12?
Yes, it depends on which system you kind of go by. There's 7 or 8. It depends on what you believe, I guess, because some people believe the feet, some people believe there's a soul star up top. So it depends on, I guess, which way you use the system. Yeah.
Well, in Zen, we do have the both of those. We have the one at the head, like when you're doing Soto Zen sitting, meditative Zen sitting, you're sitting this way and you're imagining that there is
Mhm.
a string or something kind of keeping your head up. So that does align with the I did some pretty good Zen stuff. I mean, I did some pretty good work, a lot of meditation. So anyway, yeah, and my throat's been like this for and the weird thing is I've been in the field of communication almost my entire life.
Mhm.
I started out, well, started out as like at 23 probably
Mhm.
in printing. So that's a form of communication. And I did that for about 20 years.
Mhm.
And then I kind of went into radio for just a little while,
Mhm.
not very long. And then I went into television about 23 years ago. So most of it's been, and I gave like literally 500 speeches.
Wow. Okay.
Most of them were inside Toastmaster clubs. So in one meeting, you could do two or three short things.
Wow.
Uh,
Mhm.
and I taught my class. I've written a couple of seminars, and one of them I taught 49 times.
Mhm.
So most of it's been communication, but how does that jive with now my throat doesn't want to work?
Yeah. So whenever I'm feeling into your energy, because even though we're distanced, into your
Excuse
energy.
me, I still got my pants on. What do you mean you're feeling into my energy?
Um,
And I
I
thought you were an upstanding, decent young lady. Oh, Lord.
I am.
I'm kidding you, honey. I knew that would get to you. Go ahead.
I can still feel into your energy and see how things are kind of off within you. For me, it feels like your solar plexus, which is just above your belly button, which is the color
Mm,
yellow, feels a
mm,
little off. And this has to
mm.
do with self-confidence, self-esteem,
Oh,
worth. So if one of them is out of whack, the energy gets stuck.
God. Oh, Lord, what am I going to do with you? Whoa. Self confidence and I have never, I think we're mortal enemies. I
Hmm.
rarely have even a shred, a micro shred of
Yeah.
self confidence. When I was in the printing business, I still remember. Now, I was in the part that's called, used to be called copying,
Okay.
which is like the black sheep of duplicator printing, which is the black sheep of real printing.
Hmm.
This is two black sheeps removed from, and I was in that business probably 15 years.
Hmm.
And at the time of what I'm saying, and for example, when I worked at Stanford, I would go in on a Sunday, do the inventory for the shop, make sure we had all the papers we needed, and we ran big machines and all that stuff. And I remember one day just kind of turning away from the machine to go get a cigarette or something
Hmm.
and thinking, you've been doing this 15 years. You can no longer deny that you know what you're doing.
Mm.
That I won't say I had confidence, but I had something which was just what I said. I just couldn't deny that I knew what I was doing.
Mhm.
And I've noticed there's been very few places in life where I've had any sense of you can't deny that you know what you're doing. And it usually takes me about 15 years. Like my writing, I've been writing, like I said, 50 years or 55 years, and I've been in TV now for 23 years. Those are the only areas where I have any confidence. Everything else, cooking or am I skilled at watching TV or whatever, I just don't have any, and not even a shred of confidence. It's just pathetic.
I'm
I
so
don't know
sorry.
whether I'm doing this interview right or not.
Oh, I love it. I love it. This
is
is
the
what we
American is the American Television Interview Association gonna bring me up on felony charges for? I'm kidding. Anyway, you're delightful, Jay.
Oh, thank you. You are too.
So what do we do now, Tammie? Just I'll go jump off a cliff. That's the other thing. I have a very dark sense of humor that
I
I
love it.
enjoy, and the things in life that are not supposed to have a certain effect,
Mhm.
like dark humor, dark opinions are supposed to be negative, and you're
Yeah.
supposed to always walk around with a positive energy. Homie,
Mhm.
don't play that. I don't even live that way. The
I mean,
sometimes the dark stuff I find to be comforting.
it's not realistic either to be in the positive, in the light at all times, because life isn't that
Well,
way.
yeah, and there's so many people like that that they just make me want to vomit. It's just like, oh, go away. Just
Yes.
yeah. I was on the. I'm gonna tell you something I haven't told anybody. I was
Sure.
on the phone with a friend. I probably my longest friend. We've been friends for probably 40 years,
Mhm.
and he's one of the few people with whom I can share dark humor because
Mhm.
everybody else is all woke and all this crap. And we're talking and we're doing really, really dark, like we went to a new level of dark humor.
Mhm.
And I said, and we're trying to out dark each other, you know.
Yeah.
And I said to him on the phone, I said, I haven't laughed so hard since Kennedy was assassinated. And we both laughed even more, you know. And I mean, I was around when that happened. That was terrible, and it's always haunted me, his assassination. But somehow the dark humor thing helps me, you know. It's like with all the psychiatric stuff. I of course have had a interesting journey with suicide and suicidal ideation and all that.
Mhm.
And it took me a long time in therapy to be able to say to the therapist, look, when I'm allowed to have some suicidal ideation, just the ideation, not the activity, it's helpful to me to be allowed to have that. I don't know. It's very weird. I just yeah. So
It's not weird. I mean, it's who you are as a person. It's how you're able to express yourself, all of the trauma you've been through. I mean, we all express trauma in different ways.
yeah. Well, I identify with artists like writers, sculptors, painters
Yeah.
because those people seem to be willing to explore different angles of
Exactly.
human relationships that other people in other careers like banking or accounting would never even entertain, you know, thinking about or considering or any of that. So
I mean, but those people are very much stuck in the structure of like what we're conditioned to
yeah,
do.
really. If you're going to be my daughter, you're going to love the number five.
Mhm.
Yes, Daddy. Tell me about your family. You have brothers and sisters,
I
mom and
do.
dad still around.
Yes, I do. I have my mom and my dad. They got divorced when I was a teenager. So I have a sister from their relationship, and then my dad got remarried, and I have a stepsister, and I have beautiful nieces that I absolutely love.
Oh, wow,
Yes.
that's very cool. Very very
Yeah.
cool.
Mhm.
All right, what do we do next?
What do we do next?
I have no idea. I don't know what to do. I mean, I could tell you about the Potter family, or I can tell you about my stepmom, or
Mhm.
I don't think I've ever done an interview where I was interviewed on my show
Yeah.
because I couldn't get myself to be the host of
Mm.
my own show for God 18, 20 years. I couldn't do it. And so
Mm-hmm.
I would always have people, I would find people who wanted to host a TV show. Because back
Mm.
in the day, that was pretty big deal. And I would let them host, and I would just be like the invisible person in the back of the TV studio.
Mm-hmm.
But then when COVID hit, now you don't go to the TV studio anymore. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
do a show, you're going to tape it on Zoom and
Yeah,
send it digitally into the TV station.
that is very true.
So
Time to,
now I can't just get somebody to host.
yeah.
So now I've been hosting for about what, year and a half, 2 years, something like that.
Mhm.
I've gotten used to it eventually. So
Yeah, I think this is going great. I have loved this so far. I
you're
have.
delightful. I know, but you're still delightful. And I still have to figure out how to make jokes. I have had a lot of jokes print out in my head during this interview that I have not said.
Oh, look
Just
at
for
that.
your, there's
Oh,
lots of them. Well, they come out pretty fast. Like a
yeah.
lot of them about you being, a lot of times when I have young ladies on the show, I tease them about being 12 or 14 or,
Oh,
you know,
yes.
like that. I just
Yeah.
had a guy on the show, like I said, from Nigeria a couple
Mm-hmm.
hours ago. And I swear to God, he looks like he's 7.
Mm-hmm.
He's a grown man,
Mm-hmm.
very skilled, like way skilled.
Mm-hmm.
But I tease the heck out of him. He just usually it goes well. It just builds rapport with the
Yeah.
guest. So
Mhm.
yeah, so my family, the Potter family, very gloomy. My immediate family, especially
Mm,
within, my dad was one of eight. My
mm,
grandfather was one of 13.
mhm,
His people are all from Kentucky,
mhm.
northeastern, but my dad especially and my stepmom were just really gloomy, actively negative people.
That's really hard to be around that kind of
Well,
energy.
I know I'm a kid, so I can't just,
Mhm.
like my stepmom would say to us what felt like every day or even twice or three times a day. She would look at us out of the blue. There's four of us kids and say, you're never going to amount to anything, right?
Oh,
Just and that's the dessert now of the abuse. I mean, it's just that's the happy place
talk
abuse.
about why you don't feel confident. I mean, you had someone for years
Really? So
telling
you
you.
think so you think there's a relationship? Oh wow. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. When I was two, well, my mom died when I was like
Mhm,
two and something. And the first memory I have of anything is
mhm,
going to a house and living there for a little while and having the woman of the house quote unquote force feed me. Like she would make a plate of food, I would eat it. She would go back in the kitchen, fill the plate up again, and give it to me and say, "Eat your food."
mhm.
And that woman turned out to be my step grandmother.
Oh, okay.
And then the first memory I have is her saying to me, this other woman walked in the room who was younger than she was, and her saying to me, "This is your new mother."
Wow.
And I didn't have any reference.
Mhm,
And then, of course, when I was in school, the kids somehow knew that she was the stepmother.
mhm.
So they would say to me, "Do you know that your mother is not your mother?"
Oh, that's gonna be
And
traumatic.
that phrase, anything not being whatever we just said it was,
Mhm.
that blueberry pie is not a blueberry pie.
Yeah.
Just drove me nuts. So when I was like 16, my dad, who, you know, probably because of the war, just hardly said any words out of his mouth,
Mhm,
sat down with me, the only time we ever did, for about 10 minutes
mhm.
and said, your mother died when you were two, and I don't want to ever talk about this again. And so, yeah, so it's just haunted the hell out of me ever, before, during, and after all of that. I knew
I mean,
something was off when I was a kid, but I didn't know
it,
what. And yeah, go ahead.
it's just
She's
pushing
like,
back.
wow, getting on
No,
this show was really expensive because this
no,
guy's
no, no, no.
putting me
It's
through the
fine.
friggin' ringer, man.
No, it's fine. Truly, this is
I know, but I'm
what I
just,
want to do. I
I gotta
want to
make
help people
I gotta make
heal.
my jokes, dog. That's what I do here. It's my brand.
Yes.
It's like
No, I mean
snorting milkshakes or something. Yeah.
it's just like pushing down emotion after pushing down emotion and never truly letting you in your childhood experience those emotions and express them. I can imagine how that could be stored within your body and really be causing you so much harm in the end.
Yeah. And the way kids were raised in the 50s
Mhm.
is so many generations different than now.
Yeah.
The things that are offensive to parents right now are so mild compared to what we went through. They
Yeah.
weren't even on the radar,
Yeah.
you know. I mean,
Mhm.
my dad had a system. I mean, I'm just picking one thing, right?
Yeah.
He had a system with what we call in the hillbilly land a switch. Do you
Mhm.
know what a switch is?
Mhm.
Okay. So I had to go pick the switch out, and it had to be green because a green switch will bend better and hence will invoke more pain. So if the switch you picked weren't green enough, y'all got to go pick out another switch.
Oh my gosh.
And the whole thing was like that. Everything had its
Yeah.
own embedded psychology of, you know, twistedness. So
Yeah.
everything.
Mhm.
And all four of us, we grew up that way. And the four of us are just, a new level of dysfunctional. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, so
Mhm.
yeah. Anyway, it's made for a great amount of writing material.
There you go.
I can write about almost anything.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, so you have nieces that you love.
I
You
do.
have
Yeah.
you have a sister and a stepsister.
I do.
What do
Mhm.
they do for a living?
So my sister is a teacher, and she actually teaches
They're in
third.
Poland or in the
No, in the States. No, in the States. She's a teacher, and my stepsister is a stay-at-home mom.
oh, so your
Mhm.
sister who's a teacher, what does she teach to whom?
Third grade math.
Ah, ah!
Yeah.
Oh Lord. And oh boy, that's funny. You sure
Mhm.
you're not conjoined twins with just a real long distance between?
I mean, I don't think so. We're 7 years difference.
That's a lot of conjoining. Well, I
Yeah.
guess we'll have to get into quantum physics to explain that one.
Right. Yep.
Well, my dear brother was we didn't get along well, but he and my sister lived together for almost all their adult lives
Mm.
because we were raised in a way that none of us could figure out how to date or you know any of that. So they lived together. My brother was very good at interacting with the physical universe.
Mm.
I mean, really, really good at it. And I'm, of course, just the opposite. So he would like build stuff from scratch. He would build prototypes.
Oh,
Like
wow.
they had 8 acres of land
Mhm.
and they would cut down trees for firewood.
Mhm.
And he actually built a log splitter, which is a
Mm.
big metal machine
Mhm.
that can split a tree open.
Wow.
And he couldn't find one that was industrial enough to suit him, so he
Mhm.
built one himself.
Wow.
And
That's amazing.
he built the house. He had a big mansion, 2 stories, tons of rooms, had a
Mhm.
balcony on the second floor. Just he would just build everything, neon signs, and he built a ice cream truck. I mean, he
Mhm.
bought the truck, but he put all the stuff in. And I'm just the opposite. I cannot open a can. I cannot open a can.
Mhm.
If it doesn't have a pull top, which when I was a kid, there was no such thing as a pull top,
Yeah.
I can't open it.
Mhm.
And I certainly don't know how to operate an electric can opener. I try,
Oh, I hate those
seriously.
things.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm like, you know, and my dear wife, I mean, I've been married twice, and my second wife, like I said, passed away. Uh, when we got married, I said to her, I said, I don't do anything. I don't fix anything. I don't touch anything. I don't look in the direction of physical objects.
Mhm.
And she got it. She got it pretty much, except, funny story, it happened that one of our mirrors, I don't know what happened with the mirror. Something happened, and she wanted me to fix the mirror,
Mhm.
And I said, honey, I don't do repair. I
Mhm.
promise I don't do repair. She says, well, try to fix the mirror. So, make a long story short, I broke two or three mirrors in about 2.6 million pieces each,
Oh my gosh.
all over the carpet, weeks after weeks, until finally one day she walked up to me, and she was a doll. She was a darling. She looked at me and said, maybe we should get somebody to come out and repair that. I said, really? You think so? Okay.
I didn't tell you that in the beginning.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I hadn't thought of it, but yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, where I live now, my housemate opens cans if I need a can opened. So,
There you go.
but when it comes to digital, and bear in mind, I'm from the 50s. We didn't have any part of this. I mean, what you
Yeah.
call a phone, what you call a phone used to be made up of a television set that was
Mhm.
the size of an elephant. It had a
Yeah.
it got in it a camera that used to
Mhm.
be back in the early 1900s. A camera was as big as a human, right? And
Yeah.
it's got all this other stuff, and all in this thing,
Right.
this little thing.
Yep.
I've lived through all that stuff. It's got a
Wow.
typewriter,
Yeah.
a manual typewriter. If you'd went back in the 50s or 40s and said, "Look, we're going to take this TV and this typewriter and this camera and all this other crap, and we're going to take all this, which would fill up a whole room, right? And we're going to put it in something smaller than a piece of bread."
It's
People would think
crazy.
you're nuts.
Yeah.
But seeing that process has
Mhm.
informed my interest in the future, because I think the things coming in the future are so unthinkable now. We cannot imagine. People think they've got a clue about AI.
Mhm.
Nobody has a clue about AI.
No, not at all.
I suggest that someday we're going to have an AI president, for example,
That would be
and
wild.
it's going to be AI is going to. Have you heard of the singularity? The
Yeah,
singularity.
I think so. Mhm.
So I think that's going to be a good thing. It means, my understanding is, it means that humans and robots will kind of become one thing, and I
Mm. Like
I
a
think it's
symbiote.
just the next. Everybody thinks it's strange and out of the box, but I think it's the next iteration of evolution.
You never know. You never know what's gonna happen.
So rather than keep you all day, because I think I've got, what
Yeah.
time is it? 10:14.
Yeah.
And we started talking at back in 1800, I think. Jeez, good
Yeah.
God.
Talk about a time warp.
I know. I'd give my right arm to be ambidextrous.
Mhm.
Anyway, anything you want to say before we sign off here, youngin?
I am just so grateful for this experience and for getting to know
Oh,
you And it was great seeing like just the shifts that you had and your energy and talking about the things that you really hadn't brought to the surface before. That was really
Well,
beautiful. Mhm.
if I would like to do more shows, but it's up to you as the guest sometime in the future at your convenience.
I would love
So
it.
would you please unilaterally get in touch with me and let me know what works for you?
I of
Like
course
maybe this time on Mondays, every second Monday or something.
that would be so nice. I would love that.
Yeah, I like I say, I could do 100 shows with any one of my guests. I just love doing it. So,
Yeah,
all
definitely.
right. So take care, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching.
Mhm.
This has been our visit with Tammie. Wait, cut to a coffee commercial here. Tammie Vecchiarelli.
You got it.
Eh, I cheated. Kids nowadays can't write in cursive, let alone know how to do phonetics.
True, true.
I like to sign off by telling my audience that I love them very much. And Tammie, you're way beyond wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
You remind me of Orville Wright's dog.
I don't know who that is.
What does that mean? What?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Oh, okay.
I want to hear more about Poland too eventually, because we didn't talk about
Oh,
Lech Walesa and all those people. So
yeah,
you know
definitely.
who Lech Walesa was.
I do not. You'll have to tell me.
Okay, well, we'll talk about it soon, but he was one of the, if I remember right, which could be, he was a man in the history of Poland who
Mhm.
helped Poland break away from communism.
Oh, okay.
He was just an average worker. I
Hmm.
hope saying this right. He was an average worker who, because of the pressures of the day, became a leader and helped lead Poland out of communism.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, cool guy. All
Yeah.
right, folks. Thank you. We love you. Tammie, thank you. So, 2 weeks from now would be the not Monday the 19th at 9 a.m.
Yeah. I think that should be fine.
All right. I'll send you a bill.
Yeah.
I never stop joking. It's a disease. Take
Yes.
care, dear. God bless you,
Bye.
honey. You're wonderful. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye bye.